On a tranquil morning by the river, Marnus's serene fishing trip was abruptly interrupted when a massive crocodile emerged from the water, its eyes locked onto his small boat. He froze, his heart racing, bracing for an attack. But the creature remained eerily still, its gaze almost imploring. A peculiar blend of curiosity and unease churned in Marnus's stomach. Against his better judgment, he leaned in closer, studying those reptilian eyes. What he saw left him pale, not hunger, but a sense of urgency. He contemplated calling a wildlife expert, his hand hovering over his phone, but something about the crocodile's calm, deliberate demeanor held him back. It wasn't aggressive, it seemed desperate. "What's wrong with you?" Marnus muttered under his breath, watching as the creature floated with an almost human-like patience. His mind raced. Turn back or follow curiosity. He fired up the boat's motor, his voice steady despite his nerves. "Okay, let's see where you're taking me." The crocodile glided upstream, its powerful tail cutting through the water with purpose. Marnus trailed cautiously, gripping the boat's edge as the river narrowed. Every few minutes, the creature paused, turning its head to lock eyes with him. A silent command to keep going. "I'm coming," Marnus said, half to himself, feeling an odd sense of duty. The dense forest loomed ahead, unfamiliar trees crowding the banks. His instincts prickled. This wasn't his usual route. As they navigated tight bends, faint signs of disturbance caught his eye. A snapped branch, a trampled patch of grass. The air grew heavy, thick with the promise of something hidden. The crocodile led him to a secluded riverbank, pulling up to shore and waiting, its tail twitching faintly. Marnus killed the engine and stepped out, his pulse quickening. The ground was soft, marked with footprints and scattered debris. Torn cans, a broken tent pole, an old sneaker. "What happened here?" he whispered, scanning the scene. The crocodile's eyes stayed on him, alert and urging. Marnus moved deeper into the brush, each step cautious. A torn jacket sleeve hung from a bush nearby, and scattered papers fluttered in the breeze. He picked up a crumpled photograph, too damaged to make out, then froze at the sight of discolored patches on the ground. Blood. His breath hitched. Signs of a struggle were everywhere. Broken branches, churned earth. Who was out here? He wondered, glancing back at the crocodile, whose tail twitched faster now, restless. A rustling in the bushes snapped him from his thoughts. Marnus grabbed his fishing net, gripping it like a makeshift weapon, and edged toward the sound. The crocodile shifted, its eyes darting toward the noise. "Something's not right," Marnus whispered, steadying his nerves. He followed a trail of bent grass and faint blood drops deeper into the forest, the crocodile pacing beside him. Every snapped twig underfoot felt deafening in the eerie silence. The trail led to a small abandoned campsite. Tents collapsed, a damaged lantern swaying from a branch. Marnus's stomach churned. "Looks like someone left in a panic," he said, stepping carefully around the debris. The crocodile nudged him toward a half-buried backpack. Inside, he found food supplies, a worn map marked with routes, and a journal. He flipped it over, scanning meticulous entries about local wildlife, specifically crocodiles. The handwriting belonged to a researcher, Dr. Anna Stevens, who'd been studying their behavior. Marnus's eyes widened as he reached the final entry, scrawled in haste. "Found something alarming. Poachers using the crocs. They know I'm close." The words trailed off, laced with fear. "What did you find?" Marnus murmured, piecing it together. The chaotic campsite, the blood. This wasn't an accident. Dr. Stevens was in trouble. He looked at the crocodile, now eerily calm. A chill ran through him. "You're showing me the way, aren't you?" The creature started moving again, and Marnus followed, gripping the net tighter. The terrain grew rougher, shadows deepening as the forest thickened. Doubt gnawed at him. He should have brought backup, but the journal's desperate tone fueled his resolve. "I'm not turning back," he said fiercely, pushing through overgrown paths. Ahead, A crude shelter blended into the trees. Marnus's pulse spiked. This must be it. He crept closer, hearing faint muffled sounds, soft, weak whimpers. The crocodile stopped a few feet away, watching intently. Marnus peered inside and froze. A woman lay on the rough floor, bound and battered. Recognition hit him from the journal's photo. Dr. Anna Stevens. "Oh my God," he whispered, rushing to untie her. His hands shook as he worked the knots, her raw wrists evidence of a struggle. "Hang on, I've got you." She stirred, her eyes fluttering open, dazed but sharp. Who are you?" she rasped. Marnus offered a reassuring smile. "I'm Marnus. I found your journal. Your crocodile led me here." Her face softened with recognition. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice hoarse. "I'm Dr. Stevens. Poachers. They caught me." Marnus nodded, scanning the shelter. "We need to move. Danger's close." He helped her up, noticing odd puncture marks on her arms. Not bruises, but something stranger. "What happened to you?" he asked, but she shook her head, too weak to explain. A loud crash nearby jolted them both. "Hide," Marnus hissed, guiding her behind thick foliage. The crocodile tensed, its eyes tracking the woods. Marnus clutched a sturdy branch he'd grabbed, positioning himself for a fight. Two burly men burst from the thicket, eyes wild. "Where'd she go?" One barked, scanning the area. Marnus held his breath, watching their sharp, practiced movements. They carried a menace that matched the journal's warning. "Can't let her expose us," the other growled. Marnus's grip tightened. These poachers were ruthless and desperate. The men argued, oblivious to Marnus' presence. "Find her first, then secure the goods," one snapped. "Goods?" Marnus's mind raced. The last entry clicked. They were using crocodiles to smuggle something. Rare species, maybe worse. The stakes skyrocketed. He waited until they moved off, then whispered to Dr. Stevens, "We're leaving now." She leaned on him, clutching a walking stick he'd fashioned from a branch. The crocodile stayed close, guiding them toward the river. "They're organized," Dr. Stevens murmured, regaining strength. "Trapping animals, smuggling them in crates." "I got too close." Marnus's jaw clenched. "We'll stop them." They reached a hidden path to the river, the crocodile pacing alongside like a silent guardian. Marnus spotted an old outpost ahead, weathered but sturdy. "Might find help here," he said, hope flickering inside. They found a dusty radio. Dr. Stevens urged, "Send a signal." Marnus wiped it clean, fumbling with the knobs. "Immediate assistance needed. Illegal poaching. Danger," he repeated into the static. A faint voice crackled back, "Help's on the way." Relief washed over them, but Marnus knew the poachers would hear the approaching helicopters too. "Stay low," he said, hiding them behind a tree. The crocodile crouched nearby, watchful. The chopper's roar filled the air, and authorities swarmed the area with precision. "Over here," Marnus shouted, waving. Dr. Stevens handed over her journal, her voice steady despite her fatigue. "This details their operation. Officers apprehended the fleeing poachers within minutes, cuffs snapping shut." One clapped Marnus on the shoulder. "Great work." Marnus nodded, a faint smile breaking through. Dr. Stevens met his gaze, resolute. "We'll get to the bottom of this." As the chaos settled, Marnus watched the crocodile slip into the river, pausing briefly as if to nod farewell before vanishing. Days later, a letter from Dr. Stevens arrived. "You saved my life," she wrote, her gratitude evident. Then came the shocking revelation. The crocodile wasn't wild. It was trained as part of her research into their intelligence. Through food rewards and trust, she had taught it to seek human assistance in emergencies. Marnus sat back, astonished. That purposeful gaze and those deliberate nudges were no coincidence. The creature's bond with her had saved them both. This revelation transformed Marnus's perspective. He shared their story widely, intertwining it with a call to protect wildlife. Dr. Stevens's updates fueled his advocacy, revealing new discoveries and deeper insights into crocodile cognition. Their adventure had forged an unbreakable connection, a testament to courage, trust, and the hidden depths of the natural world. Marnus knew he would never view the river or its inhabitants the same way again.